You're listening to a Cult Talk Network podcast.
File access granted.
Welcome, all you believers, idealists, skeptics, and all those who question the world around them. I'm Ty.
And I'm Bailey.
And this is Cult Talks Conspiracy
Woo!
Summer at Sea.
Yeah. So excited.
Number 5, 5th episode.
Number 5. We're almost done.
We're almost done. We got one more to go.
We're going home soon, guys.
Yeah, we'll be getting to port here soon.
Yep. Oh man, this has scared the crap out of me. I'm actually super excited for what we're talking about here today. Because I went down a couple of rabbit holes just kind of getting some base information on it. So I can't even imagine what you found. What are we talking about today, Ty?
We are talking about the infamous Philadelphia experiment. Yeah, very horrific incident that may or may not have occurred at the hands of the U.S. Navy. It's pretty interesting stuff. I found a lot of different things on it. A lot on the backstory, which I never really delved into before. I've always known about the Philadelphia experiment on a base level, like a surface level of what it was, what supposedly occurred. But I never looked too far into the origin of it. So that was really fun.
Yeah, I'd heard about it from either a paranormal junkie or Mr. Ballen's story. It was one of the YouTubers I watched that I found out about it. And it was one of those ones where it was like, it's too strange to be true. Like, it's too crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to unpack. And I decided to, really dive into the who that may be behind it all and kind of unpack that, because I think that kind of answers a lot of the questions people might have on whether or not this is true or not.
Yes,
so
I'm excited.
That should be pretty interesting. But yeah, this was a fun one. This was originally going to be my 4th of July special, but we ended up, I guess we didn't have a 4th of July episode.
We didn't do it.
I thought it lined up. I thought we had a 4th of July episode, but the schedule is we had the week before and the week after. So I was like, I'm not even worried about it.
Yeah, it's fine. We have a lot of holiday stuff coming up, guys.
Oh yeah, you got we put Independence Day out for 4th of July, so that sufficed.
Yes, and we did Jaws. Jaws was fun.
Yeah, Jaws on YouTube.
Talked about Jaws for 15 minutes.
yeah, that was a very loose Jaws episode.
Awesome. That's a fun one.
I always avoid talking about Jaws. I love Jaws, but I have still I don't like talking about it because it's been around for nearly 50 years, and there's nothing really to say that hasn't already been said. So I'm always just people ask me to talk about Jaws. I'm like, it's a good movie. And that's all you're you can't talk. There's nothing to be said about Jaws that hasn't already been said. So when I get put in position to talk about Jaws, I'm just it's a good movie. I like it. I have a tattoo of it, and that's about it. I don't know what else to say.
I know.
You're just repeating yourself. Yeah. It's one of those movies that's been talked about since the beginning of the internet, I'm sure.
It was such a benchmarker too. And we talk about it in the episode, but it's
you can go back on youtube.com/culttalknet and check out the 4th of July kickoff episode we did.
Yes.
That was YouTube exclusive. But today we're diving in the file number 024. We're almost hitting that quarter mark. That's pretty crazy.
I can't believe it. It really, the year really has flown by. It
really has.
And I don't know if it's because you and Michael have literally slammed our schedules full of everything.
Me and Mike, we are the only ones that make it. We're the ones trying to manage it.
Yeah, that's true.
Everyone else is we want to do Ben's idea was to do the Independence Day stuff. I threw a wrench in everything. I had everything all scheduled out.
That's true.
And then he said that, and I was like, well, shit, now I got to shuffle all this around. Me and Mike had to...
We blame you guys. We blame the pot gods. I'm sorry. You are thanked and cursed in the same token.
Me and Mike did our own show. We did it so we wouldn't bug anyone. It was just me and him. We're just going to do our own thing.
Guys, most of us
That way we
didn't
don't have
know.
to interrupt anyone else's schedules.
We didn't know until it was like being edited. We were like, wait,
Yep.
what do you mean you did a new show? Like, what?
Yeah. American Pie Slices,
I'm so excited.
the retrospective, it'll be over by now. It was only a six episode run,
I
but
know,
maybe
but
next year we'll hit the next episode. We'll hit the next movie.
I've yet to see American Pie, Ty.
Really?
Yes.
Well, you can listen to our podcast. We somehow stretched the hour and a half long movie out to, I think the final runtime is like 8 hours.
Should I listen to the podcast first and then the movie, or?
Yeah, watch the movie first and listen to the podcast. I feel like it's probably the best way to do it.
Next episode. Well, I will let you know. Like, yes or no. I don't know. I don't know. But Philadelphia Experiment. I'm so freaking. I don't even know what I am for this episode. I am curious as the kitty.
Well, buckle up, because it's interesting too. Summer at Sea. I like didn't even think about this till later, but like I had like picked 2 famous ships. You know, the Titanic. Now I'm doing the Eldridge, which is the subject of the Philadelphia Experiment. It's like I didn't even realize I did that until afterwards. Like I picked 2 ships to do files for Summer at Sea.
That's awesome.
I think it all worked out. They're 2 very different cases.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's awesome. I didn't notice that either, but it's played out very well, I think, so far.
Oh, absolutely. Well, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Well, I hope everyone else is ready, because we're going to dive on in the file number 024, Vanished into Thin Air, the story of the Philadelphia Experiment. Let's go ahead and let's unseal this file. So you've heard of the Philadelphia Experiment, right?
Yes.
You did a little bit of dabbling into it.
Yeah.
So we're going to start back a little. We're not going to start at the Philadelphia Experiment. We're going to start years later, almost a decade after the supposed events of the Philadelphia Experiment. So on a winter day, late 1955, a mysterious package would arrive in Arlington, Virginia, at the Office of Naval Research. Otherwise known as the ONR, so we'll call it for short when it comes back up. So if you hear ONR, we're referring to the Office of Naval Research. So the contents of this package included a copy of famed ufologist Morris K. Jessup, who I believe we mentioned, I think we mentioned at one point in the Richard Shaver episode.
Yes.
I think his name came up. Because when I read his name, I knew that camped somewhere else. I'm pretty sure it was in the Richard Shaver episode. But the package contained his book, The Case of the UFO, Unidentified Flying Saucers, which I think also camped as well somewhere. But this wasn't just any copy of the book. Inside, there were annotations handwritten in 3 distinctly different shades of blue ink. The differing shades appear to represent 3 individuals having a debate over the book's contents. The individuals discussed the inner workings of UFO technology and their concern that Jessup was too close to the truth about how this technology actually worked. These beings, they only refer to themselves as gypsies. So they would constantly be, it's 3 people, supposedly, 3 individuals having a debate written in the margins of this book in just 3 different kinds of blue ink. So they would refer to each other as gypsies, gypsy this, gypsy that, gypsies, all this stuff.
That's super interesting.
Yeah. Now there was one who had a name. It was Jimmy, Jemi. And they also discussed such things as races of aliens. Particularly, there were 2 different kinds living in outer space. Among the lengthy writings, which used random capitalized words and punctuation, so it was like, randomly there'd be a word, the H in the would be capitalized, or there might be a random period in the middle of a sentence, or random commas, things like that. Amongst this writing, there was reference to something called the Philadelphia Experiment.
Oh no! Oh boy! Here we go.
That was the first time That was the first time that anyone really saw, like, at first, like, pinged official radar, or anyone like that came on the radar of anyone like in official status.
Okay.
Now, a year later, Jessup was invited to the Office of Naval Research and shown the copy. And to their surprise, he recognized the handwriting immediately. So he saw the handwriting. He knew exactly where this had came from.
Where?
Well, in January of 1956, Jessup had began receiving letters from a man calling himself Carlos Miguel Allende. These letters were written to Jessup, and they were warnings for him to cease investigation into the operation of UFO technology.
Uh-oh.
Allende warned of the dangers of this technology because he had witnessed the dangers. So this is where we kind of start diving into Philadelphia experiment. This is where it all originates from. So almost a decade after the events, this stuff starts to occur.
Oh, man.
A mysterious and brilliant scientist by the name of Dr. Franklin Reno studied the theories of one Albert Einstein. And he had a specific interest in the link between gravity and electromagnetism, also known as unified field theory. Unified field theory is one of the most captivating theories of Albert Einstein. It's something that many people have tried to crack, and it's such a complex idea. I don't think anyone's came close to figuring out unified field theory yet.
Yeah, I was researching, and it said that the theory's not Einstein never actually completed the theory.
Yeah, it was kind of like it was a thought he had, I think, more than anything. It wasn't like a completed theory, but he just had the idea that there was this unified field theory. But one of the pieces of the Philadelphia experiment I didn't go into in my writing was that people have an idea that he actually completed it, and like it's been hidden away, like it's an actual thing he developed, and people were like, oh no, we can't let that get out.
Why? Release the files. This is Einstein. Come on. My dad loved Albert Einstein growing up. Like, we had little plushies of Albert Einstein. Like, it was cool.
At the time that Dr. Reno was doing his research, World War II was in full swing. The Eastern Front had become a bloody game of tug of war, with the Axis and Allied forces struggling to gain dominance. Despite major victories, the Allied forces needed to gain a technological foothold over Axis powers. And it was with this, the United States Navy began working with Dr. Reno on one of the most ambitious experiments ever attempted. And Carlos Miguel Allende witnessed the experiment firsthand.
Oh.
But yeah, so he claims to be a witness to whatever this was that he was calling the Philadelphia experiment. He had firsthand knowledge, and that's why he was warning Morris K. Jessup of his research, because he had believed that Morris K. Jessup was getting really close with his writings. I've never read any Morris K. Jessup stuff, but according to Carlos Miguel Allende, he was getting a little too close to cracking something.
Interesting. What was Carlos? Do we know? Like, what? Like, was he he wanted to say PA, but like a sort of lab assistant or anything like that?
Carlos Miguel Allende is actually an alias.
Oh!
And the real man behind Carlos Miguel Allende is Carl Meredith Allen.
Well, that's quite the name change.
Yeah.
That was...
Yeah, he used a couple aliases I'll talk about here later, and they're all like just not very imaginative. It's like it's like one of those things, like it's very, you kind of see like he just kind of took his name and was like, I'm gonna change it a little bit.
Well, they do
make my name.
If you want to hide something, hide it in plain sight. So I mean, there's something to be said about that.
Born in 1925, Carl was described at a young age as having a fantastic mind. but had difficulty sticking to anything for a long period of time, including jobs, which led to him leading the life of a drifter. In 1942, he would join the United States Marine Corps. This would not work out for Carl, as he would be discharged less than a year later. And I couldn't find much information on his discharge, whether it was honorable or dishonorable or what the exact reason was. But I did find kind of like a interview someone did with someone who knew him at some point.
Okay.
And they described him as a leg puller who would often pull pranks to get out of work.
Oh.
So maybe that mentality just didn't align with the expectations of the Marine Corps.
You're fired.
That's what it might have been. He might have been playing pranks, not realizing how difficult it was to be in the Marine Corps.
Yeah, it's
and they didn't tolerate his leg pullery.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that knows anyone that's been in the Marine Corps or is in the Marine Corps, like they're different. Like they're a whole different breed of human. Like,
oh, absolutely. However, Carl seemed to have a desire to serve his country in some way. Because right after his discharge, he would enlist in the United States Merchant Marines. In case you didn't know, because I didn't know, the United States Merchant Marines consists of civilian mariners on federally owned vessels.
oh,
They're managed by both the government and private sectors. They transport cargo and passengers, and can even be called upon as an auxiliary to the Navy in times of war.
oh,
I'd always heard Merchant Marine, never knew what that was, so that's what it is.
I'd never heard that before. That's super cool.
Yeah.
So, do they still have to go through like basic training and everything, or no?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's like I don't know.
Somebody in the comments,
because they're not part of the armed forces.
Yeah. I don't know. This is interesting. I've never heard of this before, so that's gonna be something I'm looking into later, just to kind of find out.
Yeah, because I'd heard it before, but I didn't know what it was. But yeah, they use them for, like, carrying cargo and exporting, importing stuff and all that. So
okay, interesting.
But it was here that Carl would begin serving aboard the SS Andrew Forsyth. And he wasn't on this ship for long before it would find itself in Norfolk, Virginia, on a dreary day, October 28th, 1943. Now, miles and miles away, in the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, was the destroyer escort class ship, the USS Eldridge.
Yep.
At this time, the Eldridge would have only been in service for 3 months, having been launched July 25th, 1943.
Wow.
Under the supervision of Dr. Franklin Reno, the Eldridge was to be the subject of an experimental but highly advanced cloaking device experiment. This device theoretically would render the ship invisible. And you got to imagine the possibilities of being able to turn an entire warship invisible. Just the advantage that would give us over enemies.
I mean, where do we want to start?
Yeah, I mean, it's because you think warship first, next, like a whole platoon of soldiers.
Yeah, and I mean, I was just sitting here thinking, like, the USS Eldridge, like, that's a massive ship. Like, it was huge.
Very big.
And, like, to be able to, like, make that invisible, it's like you're already starting with a pretty big example. Like, what's next? Like, a building?
I mean, the possibilities are endless. I mean, with that sort of technology, there's unlimited amount of advantages that would give us to be able to just secretly infiltrate enemy lines, enemy bases, anything. The origin of this technology, however, is unknown, but based on the writings of Carl Allen, it can be determined that it could be alien in origin, or at least that's what he believed. Because he's writing to Morris K. Jessup and warning him about researching alien technology and UFO technology. So you got to imagine he at least believed that this could be alien in origin.
Yeah, and I mean, it kind of. I mean, it floats along that same wave frame where it's like, I mean, this is crazy. You know, like
absolutely.
how are we gonna how does our technology do something like this? And where is
Right.
it? Which we'll get into later.
Right. So you got to imagine if they're playing with this in the 40s, you know, where's that? How far is that technology today?
Exactly.
Or if it is around today, I mean, it's got an advanced. That's almost 100 years.
Exactly. We're actually living in a John Wick world. There's actually a what do they call it? What is it called? Oh,
I've only seen the first one.
Oh shit! A hotel somewhere.
Oh yeah, what they call
the Continental.
Continentals, yeah.
It's Continental. Yeah. There's actual invisible Continentals and John Wicks all the way. Anyway, I love that movie. It takes up a lot of free real estate.
They have a TV show coming out about those.
Did it really?
The Continental, yeah, I think it's a TV show coming like Paramount Plus or something. Yeah,
I'm very interested. I hope it does well. I'm going to watch it. I think that'll be amazing.
The method in which this was to be achieved is a bit unclear, but one of the most common methods that people talk about when they talk about the Philadelphia experiment is the use of large electrical generators.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it was with these generators that Doc would have the ability to bend light around the Eldridge using refraction and rendering it invisible.
So basically, like making it a reflection of some kind?
Basically, yeah, using light refraction is what they were going to do. So it wasn't going to be like it was just gone. I mean, it would still be there. It would just be invisible to the naked eye and radar and things of that nature.
Interesting. Okay. So not actually invisible, just invisible.
No, it wouldn't be like you can walk up and walk through it and it's not there. Like it would be there.
Mm-hmm.
Just they would have refracted light around it to where it would appear to be invisible. That was the idea.
Okay, I'm with you now.
From the deck of the SS Andrew Forsyth, Carl and the rest of the crew went about their day, as the USS Eldridge and her crew of 216 were subject to experimentation. Upon ignition of the electrical generators, an ominous green fog began to appear around the Eldridge. Then the ship vanished. But it hadn't simply been rendered unseen. The ship was gone. The experiment had not gone as expected. The technology used caused the Eldridge to teleport.
Oh.
So it didn't disappear. This experimental advanced technology clearly, despite Dr. Franklin Reno's research, was still, I guess, unpredictable.
Yeah.
So the Eldridge just vanished, not disappeared. It was gone. It teleported.
What about this green fog over top of it? Was it some sort of
something with technology? Yeah, something with the technology.
And was that even foreseen? Like that?
No, I don't believe so. So I think all this was to happen was they turn on these generators and it would just allow light to refract around the ship. I think was the only outcome they had expected.
Yeah. And I mean, given that, you wouldn't think there would be any sort of like green fog or gas that would get released.
No, you'd think it would just boom, be gone.
Interesting.
But where did it go?
Where did it go?
Well, Carl Allen and the SS Andrew Forsyth, they were in Norfolk, Virginia. They witnessed an unbelievable sight. Suddenly, from out of nowhere, the USS Eldridge appeared before them, 200 miles away from its original port. For several minutes, the crew of the Andrew Forsyth observed the ship, where just as it had appeared, it disappeared. The Eldridge returned back to port in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, if this is where the story ended, this would be a miraculous story of amazing technology now in the hands of Allied forces, because the ability to teleport entire ships anywhere across the globe,
right?
Even more so than cloaking, would be an amazing advantage. Like you're talking about being able to just drop an entire platoon, an entire fleet behind enemy lines, right behind them. Boom.
Yeah, like right at their home base. If you can.
Right there, right in front, unexpected. Just boom, drop them in there.
Oh, that's terrifying. Oh my gosh. That's so it teleported there and then teleported back.
Yep, back to its original
Oh
spot.
my
So
God.
it teleported to Norfolk, Virginia, and was there for a couple minutes, and then out of nowhere back to where it was, where it left.
So it technically traveled close to 400, if not a little bit over 400 miles.
200 miles.
200 miles. Okay. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
Yep.
Could you imagine making that phone call? Hi, a destroyer just popped up in the port. Or they weren't supposed to come in. They're not scheduled. No fucking shit. It wasn't scheduled.
So just out of nowhere, boom! The Carl and when the Andrew Forsyth just watched this ship appear and then disappear.
The amount of therapy you'd need afterward. Like, I don't know what just happened to me.
Now, I'm sure Dr. Reno and his colleagues were pleasantly surprised by the results. You know, they come in for one thing and they get an even better result. This thing fucking teleported. However, surprise would turn to horror when the ship was boarded.
Uh-oh.
So, a portion of the crew was found to be severely ill, suffering from crippling headaches and nausea. Others appeared to be suffering from a form of psychosis.
Oh my.
Some crewmen were left unaccounted for, seemingly vanishing without return to unknown origin. They were just gone. Never to be seen again.
They went into the void.
Possibly, yeah.
Oh, no.
Possibly. But for others, most horrifying of all, were found to be having their appendages, you know, their arms, their legs, or even in some cases, their entire bodies embedded into the bulkhead of the Eldridge.
Oh, God.
There was no way to extract these men as they were completely fused into the ship. They were now one with the Eldridge.
I was trying to think, like, how would that happen? But I guess if, there's ways.
You got to imagine, like, it's got to be something like, whenever they teleported, it's got to be like they were breaking down on, like, molecular level.
Yes.
And, when things landed, there's probably everything kind of just fused back into place.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in the way of those molecules, you probably got zapped into it. Like if you're watching The Fly.
I don't think so. It's not
the Brundle Fly with Jeff Goldblum. The Fly, it's got Jeff Goldblum in it. He develops a teleportation method. It's these two pods to teleport, and he's not yet perfected them. He thinks he's got it, so he gets in one and he teleports, and it seems to work. But what happened was the fly got into one when he teleported.
Oh no!
So his DNA fused with a fly, and he like pretty much breaks down into a fly. It's pretty gross. So it's a gory flick.
We're watching this. This sounds awesome.
It's pretty great.
And
I showed Evan that not so long ago, and he fucking loved it. It's a pretty gross movie.
I'm excited, and it's got the Goldblum in it. So
it's an amazing flick.
But like that's very kind of like The Thing and like H.P. Lovecraftian to me to like have a person like fused into the ship. What's interesting is the psychosis. Like, did they say like what it was they were experiencing? Like, I mean, I don't even know how you would begin to ask those kinds of questions. Like,
right? I mean,
how does a
psychosis? I mean, they probably whatever they experienced in that time period probably just drove them mad.
It drove them insane. Yeah. And I mean, I would have absolutely no idea. I mean, it leaves me at a gasp because it's just kind of like, how does that happen? There's so much different symptoms and whatnot that happen there, and then you get to the coup de grace of it all. It's like, oh yeah, there's people fused to the ship in there.
Yeah, like fused to the ship. Like they are now just one with the ship.
What did they? I mean, they would. Oh man, I'm not going to ask that question. I was getting ready to be like, what did they do to those people? Well, I think we know what
I imagine they had to kill them. Yeah, it said that some of them were still alive and in unimaginable pain. I mean, you gotta imagine what they're.
You'd probably.
I definitely. I mean, that's like you're fused to a door or something like that. You're just gonna put me out.
No, I'm done. I'm good. It's fine. Well, I mean, if it's like in my arm, like get me out of there.
Oh yeah, cut that off. Yeah.
Half, I mean, I could put a chainsaw on that motherfucker and then create an entire legacy. But yeah, oh man, that's horrifying.
Oh, absolutely.
What else is there? I'm intrigued.
Now, after this horrific revelation, the United States Navy ceased research and use of the technology. All of Dr. Reno's work was classified, never to see the light of day again.
Naturally.
But for such an incredible event to occur with multiple witnesses and hundreds involved, how could it ever be fully covered up? Immediately following the events of October 28th, 1943, an operation began to keep this whole event under wraps. This included brainwashing the surviving crewmen and low-level officers who worked on the project to erase any memory of the event. Missing or deceased crewmen had their deaths covered up by false reports.
Oh,
The Navy
my.
also went. They you got to explain these guys gone somehow. So they probably staged like some battlefield deaths. It was at the height of World War II, so
Yeah, training
probably
accidents.
a training accident. Something fell overboard. The Navy also went as far as to make sure the logs of the Eldridge were changed to seem like it was in the Bahamas at the time of the alleged experiment, which is, if you look into the Eldridge, you will see around October 1943, it was in the Bahamas on a training mission.
Mm.
Not in Philadelphia.
Nope, wasn't there. Wasn't me. Nope.
Nowhere close. Despite their best efforts, the Navy forgot to cover up all of its loose ends. Most importantly, Carl Allen.
Dun, dun, dun!
For over a decade, this would escape public knowledge until Carl Allen began to tell the tale of what happened to the USS Eldridge. Although there were numerous people involved, only Carl seemed to have any knowledge of what transpired. Even the crew of the SS Andrew Forsyth, whom apparently witnessed the Eldridge appear for several minutes before disappearing, had no recollection of this ever happening.
How?
In fact, upon hearing of this supposed incident, Lieutenant William S. Dodge, who at the time was master of the SS Andrew Forsyth, wrote a letter to the Navy denying any such events ever occurred. According to Dodge, they weren't even in Norfolk, Virginia on the 28th of October. But why was Carl Allen claiming this actually occurred?
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned earlier that those close to Carl claimed he was a bit of a leg puller.
Oh.
And it turns out Morris K. Jessup wasn't the only person of note that had correspondence with one of Carl's aliases, which he sometimes go by Carlos Miguel Allende, and then sometimes either Professor or Colonel Carlos Miguel Christopher Allende.
Oh. Can't you get in trouble for... No, maybe. Yeah. I was getting ready to say, can you get in trouble for impersonating a colonel? But, I mean, I guess it's just...
Impersonating an officer, maybe? I don't know. That's
yeah.
possibly.
Because I know you can get in trouble for impersonating, like, doctors and lawyers. So maybe it's just, like, really, like, in really, really bad taste. Like, do not do that.
There's even one case where he used the alias Dr. Carl Merritt Allenstein to correspond with rocket engineer Werner von Braun.
Oh, no!
So you see about his different names. Carlos Miguel Allende, Carlos Miguel Christoph Allende, and then Carl Meredith Allenstein. There's like very unimaginative aliases.
Allenstein.
Yeah, Allenstein.
That's my favorite one so far. Allenstein.
Now, nearly a decade after sending the book to ONR, Carl would state that he only created the event as a way to, in his words, scare the hell out of Jessup.
What the hell?
Since then, however, there have been numerous accounts of Carl denying creating the event, claiming it actually happened. Equally, though, there are just as many accounts of him claiming to have made it all up.
What? Tell the truth. It's not that hard.
He apparently was very notorious for, I made it up. No, I didn't. I made it up. No, I didn't. He apparently was his thing.
See, Carl, I'm talking directly to you right now, Carl. You can't do these things because you see, Ty and I, we want to know the truth. And it's
We're the
very
truth. We're
hard
seeking truth.
to know the truth when you keep fucking it up. So please, do us all a favor.
In the decades that followed, the idea of the Philadelphia experiment was accepted by conspiracy theorists as an actual event covered up by the government. Several books were written on the subject as well, most notably author Charles Berlitz and ufologist William L. Moore published the book The Philadelphia Experiment, Project Invisibility in 1979. This book claimed to be a factual account of the events as they unfolded on October 28, 1943. This book even included a transcript of an interview with an actual scientist who was involved in the experiment, something never before achieved.
Mm-hmm.
Although it would later be found that most of the book and details from it were actually plagiarized from a book called Thin Air by George E. Simpson and Neil R. Berger. Released a year earlier, this was a conspiracy thriller that was loosely based on the Philadelphia experiment. So it was like a political adventure book. And these guys copied it and used it, said it was like real.
Sorry, my basement door just opened for no apparent reason. Just sitting next to it, and I'm expecting Ben to come through the door. Okay, that's fine. The ghostie is very entertained right now. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
That sucks.
Yep.
Why?
There's money to be made. Conspiracies equal cash. That's why we do it. Money.
Where is it?
Money.
Where is it though? Tyler's keeping it all.
Yeah.
Someone's taking it. No, don't tell her.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's all right. In 1984, an adventure film would be released called The Philadelphia Experiment, which only retained key elements of the reported events and more so focused on a time travel aspect. Okay. I never watched the movie. I've read about the movie. It doesn't sound that good. It's like they do the Philadelphia Experiment. Two guys get sent into like the present in like the 80s, and they have to find a way to like get back and stop something. I don't know. It never really sounded that great.
I know it's free on YouTube if you're interested.
Yeah. It's on Tubi as well.
Oh yes, with our free code at Cult of
Yeah, with our free code. It was a moderate hit. It spawned a direct-to-video sequel and a made-for-TV remake.
Oh wow!
Yeah, pretty big deal. In 1989, a man by the name of Alfred Bellick, I think I'm saying his name wrong. Bellick, maybe,
or Belloc. Maybe it's
possibly.
French.
Would come forward claiming to have been aboard the USS Eldridge during the experiment. He would travel to numerous UFO conventions to speak and also appear on radio shows where he would talk about his experience, with some noting the similarity to his reporting of events to the 1984 movie, The Philadelphia Experiment. Yeah.
See, I don't believe these guys. I don't believe them anymore. I'm like, I want to. Like, trust me, I really want to. My conspiracy hat wants to believe you so much.
I always want to believe this stuff until I start reading into it. And that's the thing about conspiracies.
Yes.
You start reading into it and you're like, oh, these are not the best people to be taking the word of.
No, that and I don't trust the government already. So you start telling me stuff that it's like, oh yeah, the government's hiding stuff. I'm like, tell me more. I need to know. What are they hiding now? And then like I hear about plagiarism and people supposedly copying movies, because that's what that screams to me is like, oh well, there's similarities between what he's saying in the movie.
Because the events took place in 1943 And then he didn't start popping up until 1989. That's like right after the movie came out. The movie came out in 84 or so.
Yeah, it smells a little bit. I'm not trying, because I haven't heard his account or anything, so I'm not trying to be like, oh, well, don't believe him. But I don't know. I'd look into that one. I'll probably. I don't know. I say I'm gonna look into that one a little deeper. We're gonna find out. We might have to do a follow up on that one, just a teeny one.
On March 5th, 1994, Carl Meredith Allen would pass away at the age of 68 years old in Greeley, Colorado. He had no spouse or children. At the time of his death, he had established a history of mental illness.
Oh.
And a family friend would describe him as a creative and imaginative loner.
That's a really nice way of putting that.
Yep. In September of 1996, the Office of Naval Research put out the statement, ONR has never conducted investigations on radar invisibility, either in 1943 or any other point in time. They officially dismissed the Philadelphia experiment as nothing more than science fiction.
Aww.
And that is the story of the Philadelphia experiment.
Interesting. Oh,
Yeah.
that's a big rabbit hole, man.
That is. You know, I was disappointed though, because like there was I felt like there should have been more information out there.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it is like it's a lot of it's speculative. Like a lot of it didn't really warrant time, because you look into it and it's immediately like this person was full of shit.
Yes.
You know, like I could talk more about those books.
Mm-hmm.
Or the book, The Philadelphia Experiment, Operation Invisibility.
Mm-hmm.
But that has pretty much been dismissed as a bunch of plagiarized stuff from like a nonfiction book. This would be like a conspiracy thriller. There is stuff about Morris K. Jessup where he kind of like, after the Philadelphia Experiment started to like gain traction, he kind of like jumped on the bandwagon and was like, oh, this is like, he tried to like hype it up like it was a lot more than it was. Like he tried to make Carl into this like mythical figure of like, he's a ghost, you know, you can't track him down. He's such a mysterious person. But then like real real authors or like newspaper reporters would like find him in like a matter of days.
Oh no!
But Morris was like trying to like hype him up as this like mythical like figure who had all this information. A lot of things are easily disproven, but like the logs for the USS Eldridge show where it's at, you know, where it was.
Yeah.
I believe it was in the Bahamas. It was actually the Bahamas because it was only like its first trip out.
Yeah.
It just got made in July.
Right.
So I think in October they were like doing like a having it on its first run.
Mm-hmm.
The SS Andrew Furseth, which Carl did actually serve on, so that part was true. He did actually serve on it. I think that was like somewhere on the East Coast, not Virginia, but it was somewhere on the East Coast, like North Carolina-ish, I think. So it wasn't even in Norfolk, Virginia.
Yeah. So there's like,
to my knowledge, looking, and I tried for a while, tried to find Dr. Franklin Reno. That is just a made up name, which it sounds made up. Dr. Franklin Reno.
Sounds like a car dealership.
Something, yeah. Frankie Reno.
Frankie Reno. That's a millionaire name somewhere out there.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I could not find anything about him. Anything you look up about him just leads you right back to Carl. So that's made up. There's some information out there that there was a similar experiment that may have taken place in Nazi Germany.
Oh.
But it's like that's pretty much it. People believe that something like that did happen. You know, the Nazis were a technologically advanced group of people who were trying weird, crazy sci-fi stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. I think they were trying something like this.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories kind of like this that came out throughout the World War II era. Of stories that's like the government's hiding stuff and they're doing all these high-tech experiments and there's human experimentation going on, which I mean during World War II, yeah, there was human experimentation.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
It happened. It was a gross time in history. There was one that I found called the Russian sleep study. Yeah, and that one was also disproven too, but I found that on my research through here, just trying to like find kind of different stuff about, possible military experiments either gone wrong or that are just absolutely strange, like this one. My question, though, I have about this is how did they get the USS Eldridge to the destination in Virginia? Was that planned at all for it to teleport?
No, from what I understand, like it wasn't. No, they never expected a teleport. It was never.
Okay, I got
It was never that it was going to teleport. It was that they was going to turn invisible. Like they never like that was never part of the plan.
Right. Which then,
so it was supposed to just disappear, be invisible to the naked eye.
Okay. Which then, like, it begs the question, like, it doesn't even beg the question. It's more of like an eyebrow raise at the fact of, like, how did it end up in another naval base? Like, you'd think if it were going to teleport...
Well, it wasn't a naval base. It was just in Norfolk, Virginia. It was just there. Like, I don't know if it never really said it was, like, at port or at a base. Like, the SS Andrew Forsyth was just in Norfolk, Virginia, doing merchant marine shit. Mm-hmm. And then the ship just appeared in front of it.
Jesus. Oh my gosh. That's insane to like be like, oh, there's a ship here. Oh, there's
it's out of nowhere, yeah.
Just oh man, that's insane. And honestly, like with Carl Allen, it screams echoes of Richard Shaver to me.
Absolutely. I was thinking that the whole time once I started digging into him, mm-hmm. I was like, man, this is just one of those guys that just had mental illness and put himself out there, and people kind of took advantage of his whatever he was going through and made a big thing out of it.
That's crazy. So was he the guy that annotated all the books in all 3 blue inks?
Yeah.
It was all him.
Yes, that was all him.
Shit.
Because it was all the same handwriting too. It wasn't like it was 3 different types of handwriting. It was just like 3 different different colors of blue ink. So he would just like, writing as one person in one color and writing the other one. That's how Jessup immediately recognized the handwriting. He immediately knew, like, oh, I know exactly who this is from.
That's interesting. I love annotating books. Ben hates it. Ben's like, please stop annotating the books. I'm like, no, our children will see this and they'll be able to see inside my mind.
I found out that after so it happened in like 1955 is when the book got sent to ONR. And then 1956 is when Jessup confirmed where it was from. Somewhere along that time, the book got sent to some like publishing company, like ONR. Somehow the book that got sent to ONR got in the hands of a publishing company who published it as like its own edition.
Where is it?
So it was like the UFO, I forget what they called it. So it was the case of the UFO unidentified flying saucers by Morris K. Jessup. And then it was like something edition, and it was just that copy of that book with all the annotations in it. And I think it's been long out of print because it was in the 50s, but yeah, it was published as he had written it at one point.
I want it. I want the annotated
imagine it's probably
version.
pretty pricey. Yeah.
I don't care. Money's not an object. We work in conspiracies, damn it. We're making all kinds of dough.
Exactly.
just get out the vault. It's fine. That's freaking awesome. Like, but this poor Carl Allen, like, just, oh man, like it reminds you of like how tricky the conspiracy world is, because like there are people who like this is a reality to them. Like this is 100% their reality, and I don't know what to do with those kinds of people. I don't know. Like, definitely get help. Definitely talk to somebody. But I don't extort them. Or no, that's wrong. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the whole time I was writing it, it's kind of once I started to delve into more about Carl, it was definitely echoes of Richard Shaver for sure.
Yeah. I also saw where. Did you find that people after, like the people that had been on board the Eldridge, like they would go in and out of transparency? Like there was a theory about that. Yeah, I found where like one of the side effects was like they would go in and out of transparency. Like they would be like kind of like a shadow.
Wow.
And like the ship would as well, like for months on end. And like I couldn't find anything more about that because like certainly you would think like family members or someone would like go to a doctor. Like he keeps disappearing. It sounds like you need a counselor. No, he physically keeps disappearing.
Because I read though about so the ship eventually the Eldridge was sold to I think Greece. I think it was eventually sold to Greece, who put it into their naval their naval forces for a little while. But I know the people like the crew who had served on the Eldridge like during one of the anniversaries. They had like explicitly like told like reporters there like this never happened. The Philadelphia experiment never happened. Like
wow.
Stop asking about this. It never happened. We served in the military for real. We saw wartime. We never involved in any fake experiment. None of us ever disappeared or anything like that. So they were pretty adamant that never happened. The crewmen of it. So
yeah, but what if it wasn't you?
Oh, well, they're brainwashed too. Because the thing was, according to Carl, they were all brainwashed.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
How did Carl escape the brainwashing then?
So because the U.S. government never accounted for the Andrew Forsyth.
Oh.
They didn't know where the ship went. They just knew it disappeared. So the whole Forsyth incident was a new revelation once Carl started writing about it. They had no idea where it went.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's insane. Jeez, oh Pete's. Oh my goodness. Now
I was hoping to have more imaginative stuff, but no, it's my opinion. The Philadelphia experiment, I think you can count that as debunked.
Yeah, you really can. You really can count that one as debunked. It would be cool if it was real, like we did find some sort of teleportation technology, and it's out there.
And there might be stuff like it out there. You never know.
I don't know.
One of the things that I did read that was interesting is people have tried to like kind of figure out where this all came from, and they try to. I guess one of the big theories is there's this thing called I think it's called tethering or something like that. But basically, it's like you take a ship and you would run a bunch of like electrical conduit all the way through it. Like you basically wrap the ship in electrical conduit, and it would be able to evade radar.
Okay.
So people probably saw us doing this and thought that was some sort of like experimental thing, but no, it's like a real technique they at least tested around this time, and they were even like talking about one of the ships that was like the main subject of the test they were doing with this tethering was a ship that was actually positioned right next to the USS Philadelphia in the Philadelphia Naval Yard.
Oh gosh.
So it was right next to it.
So it's right there. I do remember seeing something about that because like they have like magnetic waveforms that like the missiles can sense, and like if the missile can't find it, then it has nowhere to go.
Right, and this tethering would throw that off. But that was something they was like testing. People kind of have surmised that's where a lot of the stuff came from.
See, I stand by my original stance. The ocean is a completely just different monster. Yes, pun intended. And we should just leave it the fuck alone. And we should just, we have our land. We have the land. We can go to the shore. It's
Well, this
fine.
isn't so much the ocean. This isn't messing around with like, wild ass fucking mystery technology.
Yeah.
It's more so what this is.
Ocean and like oceanic technology.
Yeah, oceanic shit. I mean, that's what you gotta worry about. That kind of that mystery tech, that alien tech. We have no idea what it is.
It's ancient alien tech. We just forgot about it.
Yeah.
Okay? We it's fine. But no, like I would love to find out more about like different technologies and whatnot, because I'm a believer, guys. I really do think we lost a lot of our own history. I really do think like, I don't know if I'm willing to say teleportation is within our realm of possibility within our lifetimes, but I definitely think it could happen one day in the future.
Oh, absolutely.
So I don't know. This was cool though. This was super cool. This had a lot of different twists and turns. I'm looking down back at my notes now, and I'm like, wow, we went on this was a journey.
Yeah, it was. It was interesting. I kind of feel like this one's one that you gotta kind of put away
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think we might have debunked it.
I think we did too. And you did a fabulous job of doing that as well, too. Because I had a lot of questions coming in, too, especially that of like the story of like how it teleported, like with the green fog and the aftermath symptoms that, you know, the crew members had and whatnot. So hearing all of this, and now as far as like eyewitnesses coming out and like their stories being debunked and, you know, hearing about the plagiarism and whatnot, I'm like, oh man, as much as my little conspiracy heart wants to believe it, I just can't.
I know, that's the thing too. I love the Philadelphia experiment, but you read into shit and it's never fun.
It's like, don't meet your heroes, guys.
Yeah.
Don't look at it. Don't do it. This was so awesome, Ty. Thank you so much. This was beautiful.
Well, we're almost done with Summer at Sea.
Boo-hoo.
This has been quite the summer event. And you're next.
I am next. I am. We're gonna be going back out to sea. And we're gonna still be talking about the military, but we're gonna talk about some sightings that the military had.
Ooh, love sightings.
Yes, some monster sightings. So we're gonna be talking about that in the military monster encounters.
File 025. 25. Crazy.
Oh my gosh! It's
and after that episode, we're going to have a special like 1 year episode we're going to do. So keep an ear out for that. That'll be a special bonus we're going to do. Kind of just talk about the whole year, our first year of Cult Talk Conspiracy podcasting.
Yes.
Be something fun to look back on all the stuff we covered this year. We covered a lot.
We have. We really have.
A lot of different topics.
A lot of different diverse topics and whatnot. And we have covered, you know, ones like the Philadelphia experiment where, you know, we have talked about it and, you know, been able to debunk it through not only conversation, but also research that we've done as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's what keeps, you know, Cult Talk's conspiracy fun too. It's like, we don't just go after the ones that we think are true. It's
right. And so that's about I want to believe, but you know, reading, it's like, damn.
Yeah. It's like, oh man, I can't believe it anymore. So, but
or you find out it's some theory perpetrated by skinheads. And, and you're like, then you're disappointed. That happens a lot too.
That shocked me. It was like 4 episodes in a row.
Yeah. That was no fun. God. Really shook my belief system.
I still find it funny, and I actually do think this is still happening. I'll have to double check with Eric on this, but when we look at the analytics on that episode, anytime anyone says, like either you or me says the word Jew or Jewish, it spikes. Like that means people are going back and listening to what we're talking about in regards to the Jew or Jewish people.
Damn, we'll start exploiting that more than. That's what you want to hear.
If it's what you want to hear, man. Like, we look at it, we see it, and we literally go sentence by sentence.
Because there's a lot of stupid shit that dumb people try to twist and turn to make it to where it's just another ploy of the Jewish people to keep us white men down. That's what it is.
I mean, Kanye saw the light. I think if Kanye can see the light.
Yeah, watch more Jonah Hill movies, people.
Thank you, Jonah Hill. And Jonah we trust.
Thank you, Jonah. And Jonah we trust. Yeah, watch 21 Jump Street. You will be changed.
Maybe I need to watch 21 Jump Street and then
might straighten you out.
It might. I don't know. It might. I don't know.
Did it for Kanye.
It did. It did. We'll have to see. Where can they find us, Ty? What do we have?
You can make sure you check us out every other Tuesday right here. Cult Talk Conspiracy, or every other Tuesday. You can also check us out at youtube.com/culttalknet. And at Cult Talk Net is where you'll find everything. That's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the things. At Cult Talk Net, you'll find us. You can check out Cult of Lore every first and third Thursday of the month. That's our Warhammer lore-based podcast. Deep dive stuff you can check out youtube.com/culttalknet. Because those guys do a really cool, full-length animated version of their podcast. They work really hard on it, so check that out. Cult of Campbell comes out on random Mondays whenever we get an episode out. It's still there, but we're just kind of shuffling it around a little bit, letting it simmer before Culttober comes around. And you can check out American Pie Slices. It's over, but the episodes are still over on American Pie Slices. So if you got a craving for nostalgia, going over and have a slice, because we got a a big deep dive into the 1999 teen comedy classic American Pie, and it's a one of a kind slice of life podcast. Me and Mike talk about a lot of personal stuff on there. We talk about our childhood, about growing up in high school, our experience. A really fun podcast.
You never talked to
definitely
me.
check it out.
You never talked to me about your childhood.
Well, I say that for American Pie Slices.
Oh, okay.
I'm too busy talking about Jews on Cult Talk Conspiracy. I've got to talk about. I guess I don't have enough time to talk about myself. So I'm busy talking about Jews over here, the Jewish people, and their evil plots. Apparently,
they might have some. We don't know. We don't know. We're leaving it up.
I haven't found them yet. I haven't found them yet. I just find idiots claiming that they are doing stuff. But hey, that's pretty fun too to exploit that shit.
It is. It is.
Educate yourself, people. Always educate yourself.
Always do your own research.
Before you choose to believe in anything, do a little bit of research, even surface level research.
Yes, because you can find. Honestly, just look at 2 articles, man. 2 articles.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go into just a little pro tip. This is how I do my research. Always starts at Wikipedia. I start on Wikipedia, and then I use the references, and I go from there. That's how all my stuff on Cult Talk Conspiracy. It starts at Wikipedia, and then I use the references, and I'll find keywords and things like that. I'll go to Google, but all my stuff starts on Wikipedia. And it's just by looking at a Wikipedia article, you can kind of go ahead and start your beliefs will start to crumble a little bit. You're like, wait a second, that guy came up with this?
Yeah,
he's awful. Yeah.
For me,
you'll go from there.
It definitely depends on the topic, but I typically go for news articles and then trace it back. Like look up 5 different news articles, find different stuff. Find where it's different, how it's different. Like I said, guys, I use a lot of red yarn. I'm not organized like Ty is.
Oh, I get all my news from InfoWars. So that's where I get all my news from.
It's a lot of fun stuff over here.
A lot of fun stuff on InfoWars. But thank you guys for listening. This has been the Philadelphia Experiment. We're going to keep chugging along. This voyage is coming to an end. Summer at sea is almost over.
Almost done.
We're finally going to return back to land, and fall's coming. Man, you know what comes with fall?
Cultober!
Cultober, baby. Biggest Cultober yet. We're going to go ahead and hype that up here. Next, we'll start hyping it up here in the next couple episodes.
Yeah.
About the big Cultober shit we got playing. So it's going to be one hell of an event.
We're so excited.
For Cult Talk Net, Cult Talk Conspiracy, and all the shows, Cult of Campbell, Cult of Lore. Everything big culmination with some big news about Cultober. We'll start dropping here in a few weeks. But thank you guys for listening. I think that pretty much does it. Make sure you follow us at Cult Talk Net across the board. We'll see you back here in a couple weeks for file 025, and that's going to be Bailey talking about some monstrous encounters that the U.S. military may have had at certain points. Some are at sea, so they're probably sea-based. So surmise what you will from that. I've been Ty.
I've been Bailey.
And until next time, question everything.